in terms of the other matchup, I know these ones we might not have been as tapped in on, so we won't spend as long on them. But on the other side, we have Barcelona versus Inter. And if the last matchup is probably the second best attacking team, and I don't know, maybe Arsenal the best, maybe Inter the best, I don't know, defensive team. This one, I would say Barcelona definitely the best attacking team in Europe, and Inter are arguably the best defensive team up there. So this stylistic matchup is insane as well. But just briefly touching on their quarterfinal matchups, Barcelona did suffer a 3-1 defeat to Dortmund in their second leg. This game I actually didn't catch live, but just seeing the performance, you got a hat trick from Guirassy. And I do want to say, for Barcelona, to be fair to them, Balde is injured, so he didn't start, and he's massive for their team. And Pedri didn't start the game. So, and to me, Pedri's their best player. So I think Barcelona coming into this game, they were very confident coming in 4-0. So I can give them more of an excuse than PSG, because 4-0 is a very dominant. It's way more dominant a scoreline than 3-1. So I will give it to them. They clearly weren't even putting in their A team for this game. So I don't know how much it actually speaks to their quality. But, you know, shout out to Dortmund. They showed something I didn't expect from them, even winning 3-0 that game. But did either of you guys check out that game or see any of the highlights from that game, or on to the next one?
I saw a couple of the highlights. That second leg definitely surprised me. But, you know, I'm happy to see Barca go through. You know, ever since the Sancho saga, Dortmund can suck it, bro. They can suck it. I don't care what they do.
Bro, oh my God, you and Sancho.
I will hold that grudge. I don't care how they perform. That will be pure hate watching anytime they play.
Damn, fair play. Well, there you go. But I don't know if you checked it out, Eric.
I did. I will say the 3-1 result is a little bit concerning. I know we haven't gone into predictions just yet for this next matchup, but like as far as just like, you know, having a second leg go the way that it did after such a strong showing in the first leg wasn't the best to see, considering I would consider myself a Barca fan, but it's, you know, thankfully I guess it didn't impact their, I guess, like their advancement. But definitely when I'm just thinking about like momentum and everything, it was a little bit of an uncomfortable watch, I won't lie. But you know, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, fair. I think you gotta say something for momentum. That always counts. But getting over to the other game, Inter versus Bayern. I had watched the first leg, and I was very curious to see how this one would play out. And once again, they came out with the banger of a game. And Inter, you know, 2-2 draw. But that meant that Inter advanced 4-3 on aggregate. And, you know, Inter looking kind of scary coming into this competition. I did predict Barcelona to win the whole thing, but Inter were my dark horse. And to me, honestly, this semifinal is kind of my final, even though I do think now that seeing how these teams have advanced over the course of the competition, I really do think this is a full, any one of these four teams could win the whole thing. This is probably one of the most even semifinals I've ever seen, or at least in recent years that I've seen, where I really feel like each team has a 25% chance to win the whole thing. But at least for me personally, coming into the competition, this matchup is really interesting. But shout out to Kane. You know, we talked about how in the first leg, he whiffed a chance that you would hope a striker of his quality could finish. And in this game, he had a really clean finish, a vintage Kane finish. But also, Lautaro Martinez, who we talked about also last week, who had an amazing Trivela in the first leg. He also scored a poacher's goal. And you had to talk about, can we say convincingly that Kane is a better striker than Martinez? And I still think, you know, they won this game in terms of scoring, but there's something to be said for Martinez showing up every single Champions League game. I think he scored in his last 5 Champions League games. You got to give him his respect. You really got to give him his respect going into this semifinal. I don't know if you guys saw anything from these games, but it was pretty much another banger.
I only caught the tail end of the second leg, but I've seen some discussion about the game online, and it kind of reaffirms my long point of view, which Kane, definitely a great striker, but in those big moments, he's not that guy. He's not that guy. He's not a Harry Maguire, man. I mean, that is true, though. It's true. I mean, they're doing that. It's coming home. It's coming home. It never came home with Kane, bro. It never came home with him. Martinez, at least, though, in these games, he's putting in a shift every time. Kane, I don't see that same effort. I will repeat, though, I did not see the whole game, so I'm kind of talking out of my ass. But just from past experience, that's how I feel.
Yeah, fair. But
I do feel bad for the rest of the Bayern team. I should know. I think they got a great team and players, so it sucks. But Inter have been, from the games I've seen, just the way they've played has stood out a bit more to me.
For sure. I think Inter, especially for knockout football, they look like they're really built to make the long run. Versus like Bayern, like you said, they do still have amazing players. Like especially Elise has impressed me for his first season on like a team of this level. His quality is really shown. But I don't know. I feel like Bayern, it's weird because obviously they're still a massive name, biggest team in Germany, one of the biggest teams in Europe in terms of name value. But I feel like they're like, I don't know. I feel like when we were maybe in high school, like in the 2010s, it felt like Bayern were consistently one of the, like, not only just biggest teams in Europe, but actually best teams in Europe. Like
Real Madrid level. I mean, that's how I viewed them.
Madrid, Barca, Bayern. Like,
they were in that conversation.
Juve at the time, because Juve were winning Serie A every year. It always felt like those teams were consistently the top. And now it feels like they're still good and they're still the best team in Germany. But even that, they didn't win it last year, so it's not that convincing. And in the Champions League, it's like I'm not surprised that they're out this early. Like it doesn't feel like a surprise. Whereas like I feel like back then it would have been like, damn, Bayern didn't make it to a semis, So I don't know if that comes down to the coaching from company or maybe just the build of the team. But maybe we'll see next year how they move on. But something about Bayern feels like, maybe just the German league in general, but it feels like Bayern doesn't have the same allure that they had even 10 years ago or 5 years ago, maybe even. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe it's just Harry Kane instead of Lewandowski. Maybe it doesn't hit the same. I don't know. But
it definitely does not.
But getting into this prediction for the actual semifinal matchup, Barcelona versus Inter. Amazing game, I'm assuming it's going to be. But what do you guys think for this one?
I'm going to go with the poetic approach of, with Real Madrid's fall, it'll be Barca's rise. Even though I think deep down in my heart, I want to see Inter win, I feel like Barca, this is an opportunity for them that if they can seize it in the first leg, I think it'll be done. Like, I think that's all they need. They win that first leg and then they go on.
Yeah. And to say also, the first leg is in Barcelona, so that maybe that speaks to what you're saying in terms of getting it ahead. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I have Barca. I have them making it to the final from the jump, but now they're actually my pick to win the whole thing. So completely with you on this being like the quote unquote final. But I have faith in Barca, man. They've been playing really well. They've just been clicking. Hopefully this last game was just a hiccup, but I have them making it on to the final after this.
Fair. Yeah, and speaking of, now that you say that, both of your winner picks, and you guys both picked Madrid to win the whole thing when we predicted to start. They're now out, so it's only me left with Barca, hopefully going through and winning the whole thing. And now you scared me because last time we talked about this, I think Eric and I picked Inter to beat Bayern, but Alexi bet against Inter, and now you're betting against Inter again. So now I'm like, hold up, if you jinx Barca now, maybe you're just helping Inter go on this crazy run, which you want. Like you said, you admittedly you want Inter to beat them.
All part of the plan.
Part of the plan, maybe. But as much as I said, like my head is telling me Inter because defense wins championships in my mind, and they really look like a knockout football team. My heart is telling me, I'm not even a Barcelona fan, but my heart is telling me Barca are gonna go through here. That last game was them taking a little rest, and we're gonna see. I'm really feeling like we're gonna see a vintage. I can't call it vintage because he's only been around for like 2 years, but a Lamine Yamal performance that we're gonna remember. That's what I'm hoping to see here.
I hope.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hinting my predictions on that. Even though, I think Pedri's the best player. Rafinha has been going crazy. Lewandowski has been scoring a ton. But I feel like this is the stage for him, especially against Inter's 3 at the back formation / 5 at the back, wing backs and stuff. I feel like there's room for him to cook there. So I'm very interested to see how that's going to go. But we're all going Barca on this one.